Hey, whoa, there we go with some sound for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I'm Corbin. Today we're going to be talking about something very near and dear to my heart, which is why I've more or less intentionally isolated myself for about 15 years or so. And we're going to use that term isolation fairly lightly because there's been a lot of life that's been lived pretty publicly, just not in the way that I planned when I was 15. Right? I'm 31 now, and when I was 15, I was part of that first generation of hopeful young YouTubers. I was ready to take over the world, and I wasn't just ready to take over the world. I wanted to do it not just with some style and some well-edited videos. I really wanted to do it with a lot of teenage angst and anger. It was a time to be alive. I was really looking up to the likes of Howard Bloom, The Amazing Atheist, Cody Weber, guys that just weren't afraid to get on the internet and speak their mind, swear left and right, make fun of religious people. I pretty much worshipped George Carlin. I would come home from school every day and watch his specials over and over. So it was pretty natural for me to just hop on the internet and scream something like, "All right, so all you dumbass motherfucking sheeple, let's talk about why your club at school, Young Life, is retarded." Okay, and I'll admit I am creating somewhat of a caricature of myself. There probably was a little bit more intellectualism or something going on there, but you get the picture. Oh, also, I do actually kind of want to sidetrack just for a minute and say that making this video like this is a little bit of a compromise for me because I'd really love for this video to be this big grandiose thing, right? In a way, it's like 15 years in the making if you want to sort of give it more credit than it probably deserves. You know, I'd love to just go around the city, take a bunch of different shots of me around Los Angeles talking about this whole story and almost make it like a sort of weird short film. But life is moving on, and yes, it is somewhat traumatic, but I'm so tired of trauma dumping on people, and it just doesn't need that, right? I'm ready for life to be lighter, easier, and fun, even though at the time I very much was sort of a teenage anarchist, if you will. So, I digress. Back to the story. I'm making these edgy videos. I'm going in 10th to 11th grade, and at this point, I've been in a pretty fair amount of trouble. A pretty, large amount of trouble compared to most kids. I tried to commit insurance fraud, and I was making these atheist comedy videos secretly. I'll never forget putting my camera up on a big stack of books and printing out this super edgy teenage atheist comedy script and reading off of it and looking out the window to make sure that my dad didn't see me recording it. Pretty funny times, pretty priceless times, pretty great times. The end of the 2000s as a kid was just a funny time, and I can only imagine how many kids are probably doing that kind of thing now. Anyways, so there I was making these videos in secret, but the vision of the YouTube channel was growing. It was becoming grand. It was becoming all-encompassing. It was ready to take over the world, at least some part of me, right? It was my whole life. I would come home from school every day and work on it. Sometimes I would be editing videos all night. I'd get to school and people would be upset with me, but I was so happy with what I was doing. I would just kind of shake their hands and smile and be like, yeah, I was kind of rude on the internet, but I'm happy I got you thinking. I'm happy I got you talking, right? I'd have some write-off excuse for it. And, so much of it is a facade, or was a facade, because, yes, the reasoning behind me wanting to be an atheist was genuine, and the reasoning behind my arguments, I think it was and is very valid, but a lot of my attitude, a lot of my pizzazz to pick these fights, I don't know that it was totally me. I do have a feisty side. A lot of ex-girlfriends of mine will attest to this. But, I just, I'm a friendly dude, mostly. I'd like to think a lot. I don't know. Anyways, so there I was making these videos, and we get this project to basically create a satire video in my English class. And of course, I choose to satirize Catholic priests molesting little boys, because isn't that going to be priceless if I dress up in a Catholic priest outfit and I say, "Hi, my name is Dick Lickington, and welcome to my Catholic camp where all the boys can play with my toys." It was priceless. It was great. It was an amazing time. I'm honestly sorry that I haven't talked about this more publicly because it's so funny. But ultimately, my Catholic English teacher did not find the joke very funny, despite this being a public school, mind you. Despite this being a public school. Oh, the sensation, right? I was ready to make this a national issue. I was upset about this. I thought about this for years, right? She basically told me, "Hey, I think you're worse than a plagiarist." Those were her words. And to be fair to her, I was actually cheating a lot in that class. I was using a lot of Spark Notes to pass. And I was probably lightly borrowing a lot of answers and ideas from a website. It was popular at the time. I don't know. I had found it at gradesaver.com. I was getting a lot out of gradesaver.com. Gradesaver.com probably is pretty responsible for me not failing out of that class. So she fails me, and things start to get out of hand because obviously this was a video that was submitted in order for me to try to basically use this as a project for my class. But I couldn't help myself. I just couldn't help myself. Of course, I had to also upload this to YouTube because it was gold. And the drama surrounding this made this whole video start to actually get some traction. I was uploading all this edgy atheist comedy stuff, and I would maybe get 20 to 50 views if I was lucky. Typical small-timer stuff. But now we were entering the big leagues, because I remember coming home from school and word was getting around like Corbin stepped on a landmine. His teacher's trying to fail him. He's very upset. I'd just be walking around the halls crying. And basically what happened was, it was getting like 200 or 300 views plus. I think it had gotten up to like 700 within a day or two. But this was very short-lived, and my father found out about it. And he was already upset with me over trying to commit insurance fraud. That's a whole nother story. As I like to say, that's a whole different bucket of bananas for an entirely different pack of wild monkeys. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Look, just bear with me, okay? I'm so sorry. I'm absolutely out of my mind. So my dad had me delete all my videos, right? And I was so defeated from so many perspectives, right? There's so much, we're just going to keep it very light, but we'll just say I had a very broken, very dysfunctional childhood. That's really all I want to say in regards to that. But things were broken beyond broken, and this was like my one dream. And it was a little edgy, and it was probably a little bit misguided in regards to certain attitudes that I had. But ultimately, the feelings that I have regarding the potential of what that channel could have been and what I could have seen really happening, the loss still affects me. And for years, for over 15 years now, I've watched YouTube. And I can't help but think to myself, what could have happened? Maybe it's for the better that things got deleted, because I did end up getting real jobs at some point or another. And also, do I really even want to go back on YouTube and try anymore? And that's been a feeling that I've been facing for, 15 years now, because I've only seen YouTube become more and more saturated, and I've only asked myself further, what is this? What's the point of this? Why am I doing this? So in a way, it's because I upset a teacher of mine, but also in a way, it's because there was a lot of problems in my life that were ultimately unfixable. But here I am, 15 years later. Let's go. Let's give it a shot. Let's try something new. Let's try something fun. Maybe you have a weird story of how the internet has ruined or affected your life in some way. I mean, you know, this certainly wasn't the end of my saga with that teacher. I ended up writing an article about her that I couldn't even delete. And people still will find it sometimes and say, is this you? What the heck happened? I'd love to see the video. The video's gone. It's in some old lady's basement in Texas. I was renting out a room from her. I was renting out this basement room her husband had died in. And I remember her saying, you know, Ron thinks you're a talented songwriter. Ron thinks you're a good guy. That's where the video is, okay? It's somewhere in there. I left there, and I remember leaving the hard drive and just thinking, this is Ron's now. No, I didn't think that. That would be funny if I thought that. I think I actually just forgot it. You know, my life was helter-skelter, and I started moving around. You move around, it's not so easy to keep track of stuff. You just start losing stuff. You just start saying, okay, it's gone now. You just don't even think about it. So it's lost to the sands of time. It's lost to the history of time. But every word I'm speaking is 500 million% true. I mean, there's things I did that video. I'll just confess. There's a buddy of mine who helped me film the video. He was also upset about it. We were so upset that in protest, and I know this doesn't make any sense, but stick with me for a second. We were teenagers. We actually just went ahead and took some science textbooks that we had stole, and we peed on them and lit them on fire. That was like one of many ways that we were trying to come to terms with it. But yeah, I mean, I'll never forget just walking around those halls, just so much righteous indignation, so much righteous indignation. Anyways, this video's gone on a little bit longer than I was planning or hoping for. And if I'm not careful, I could probably go on about this and many other things in my life for 2 to 3+ hours. And I want to try to keep this channel a little bit light if it's possible. Just a little bit, right? Because there's enough heaviness in the world. There's enough heaviness in my day-to-day. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I want to be dropping an EP pretty soon here. I've clipped the hell out of this audio, so hopefully this video is usable. Stay tuned for my EP as well as an article that's going to be coming out about me in shoutoutla.com. Still not 100% sure on that, but it's looking like it's a green. So all right, make sure you smash the like and subscribe button like my dog's teeth would smash into the juicy texture of a brand new hamburger. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to say. I don't have a brand. This is just kind of whatever. Okay, thank you.
It's a long, long way to the rest stop. And if I had just one dime to spend on you, then I would spend it, baby, this is true. Then I would spend it, baby, this is true. Oh, I would spend it, baby, this is true. You know I would spend it, child, this is